Have you ever had a child stop you in your tracks? Not because they were misbehaving, but because they said or did something that made you think, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear today? Children are far more than just little learners. They are our teachers. They show us how to be present, creative, and patient every single day. But sometimes we get caught up in the chaos of schedules, assessments, and managing day to day problems. We forget to learn from the very people that we're teaching. And in today's episode of the Childcare Director's Chair, we're going to talk about how observing children doesn't just help you manage your center, it transforms the way you lead. From patience to creativity to emotional presence. We'll explore what children are teaching us every day and how you can use these lessons to better support your staff, your families, and yourself. So let's dive in. How observing children reshapes our leadership. As childcare directors, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the logistics of running a center. But when you take the time to observe the children, you start seeing the world through their eyes. And that offers more than just developmental insight. It can reshape your entire leadership style. And persistence. Children rarely give up. They'll try and try again, whether they're stacking blocks, learning to write their name, or trying to zip up a jacket. They show us that persistence isn't about forcing the outcome. It's about enjoying the process and trusting the learning journey. And what about curiosity? Every day is a why day for children. This unrelenting curiosity teaches us to ask better questions, to listen for deeper answers, and to stay curious about our leadership roles. It challenges us to get outside of the mindset of just checking off tasks on a list. And let's talk about adaptability. Children are the masters of flexibility. They're constantly shifting between activities, emotions, and interests. Watching them adapt to new things reminds us the value of being fluid in our leadership style. Change is inevitable, but the key is how we navigate it with our teams. So here are some strategies I'd like to have you implement. Take 10 minutes a day to observe. Just spend a little bit of time in each classroom or play area and just watch. Take note of how children approach tasks. Are they more persistent than we give them credit for? Or how do they creatively solve problems? Then I tell you to go ahead and do a staff debrief. After walking through and your observations, sit down with your team and ask, what did you see today? What can you learn from the children? These discussions promote a mindset of reflection and shared learning. And be the curator of curiosity. Challenge your team to ask more questions. As you round out the day, ask your staff, what did the children ask that made you think differently? You see, all these lessons will help us with our patience, our perseverance, and creativity, because children are the ultimate test of patience. And for good reason. They're working through developmental stages, they're testing boundaries, and they're figuring out how the world works. But as leaders, we can learn to be patient, not just with the children, but with the process itself. You see, teaching patience by example is an amazing opportunity that we often miss. You see, when you rush a child, it only escalates frustration. But when you allow space for them to work through their thoughts and their emotions, even if it means more time on the clock, you have created a deeper connection. And I just spoke with a teacher 2 days ago, a couple teachers on a teaching team. We have this one child, and she has a real difficult time with her feelings, emotions, and transitions. And I explained that children transition differently and that we really need to be thoughtful in the way that we transition her. Not to give her her way, but to help her self regulate and to help her have a better understanding of how time works in the real world. And when you're supporting your staff, likewise, when working with your team, it's so important that we as leaders show patience. Staff might not immediately grasp new systems or that new app or new strategy, or even if you change the classroom around, the new flow of the way that the room is set up. Your leadership should be a guide, showing that learning is a process. It is not a race. Now live in the present, because children don't live in the future or the past. They live in the right now. Their world is full of moments that are often skipped over by the adults in their lives. As directors, this can be a powerful lesson in being present with your team and with your children. And children focus in the moment. When a child is building a tower or trying to solve a puzzle, they are fully immersed in the now. This single-minded focus is something that adults often forget because we're juggling a million tasks at once. But what if we took a page from the children's book and gave our undivided attention to just one thing at a time? You see, just like children, your team need you to show up, and they need you to show up fully. So take time to connect with them. Really listen. Give them your attention. Staff need to feel heard in order to do their best work. Now, when I think about creativity, children don't approach problems the way that adults do. They think in wildly creative ways, seeing possibilities in everyday objects that we often miss. And gosh knows these kids are so resourceful. A stick becomes a magic wand. A box becomes a spaceship. Children's creativity shows us that innovation comes from imagination, not from an abundance of resources. Your leadership doesn't have to rely on fancy tools or systems. The real magic comes from thinking outside the box and finding new ways to do old things. Now, you want to support your teachers' creativity, so encourage your team to get creative with lesson plans, classroom setups, and also problem solving. Give them permission to experiment and try new things, because innovation is at the core of child development, and it should be in your leadership too. So here are some strategies for you. 1, you want to model patience. Start every staff meeting by asking each teacher how their week has been. Not to go through a checklist, but to listen deeply. Make space for reflection, just like you would for a child. You want to encourage your teachers to take risks with their teaching style or their classroom setup. Offer time to brainstorm and let them know it's okay to try something new, even if it doesn't work perfectly the first time. And patience and persistence rituals. Implement present practices. For example, when walking into a room or talking to a teacher, put down your phone and your paperwork. Give your undivided attention. This leads by example and teaches your staff the importance of focusing on the present. Now, reflection time. What's one thing a child has taught you recently? Was it their perseverance on learning a new skill? Was it their ability to bounce back after disappointment? Was it their joy in a simple game that reminded you of the value of play? Reflecting on what children has taught us will help us reconnect with the heart of our work. So, do some reflection exercises. Encourage your staff to take a moment each week to reflect on a moment that a child taught them something new. You can even use this as a warm-up for one of your team meetings. You also could create a wisdom journal, a wisdom child journal. This can be a shared document or a physical journal in the staff room where teachers write down their reflections. It becomes a collective space of insight and inspiration. Or a circle of reflection activity. During staff meetings, ask each staff member to share one thing that a child taught them that week, and this encourages deep, meaningful connections among the staff. So here's your call to action, folks. This week, I want you to commit to slowing down and paying attention to the children around you. Spend 5 to 10 minutes observing a child in their own element. Just watching without interruption. Write down one lesson you learned from them. Maybe it's patience, maybe it's creativity, or how to embrace being present in the moment. Share it with your staff at the next meeting or in a casual chat and see how it shifts the energy. Remember, the children in your center are not just learners, they are also the greatest teachers. And when we allow ourselves to learn from them, we grow as leaders, and so does our team. I hope that this episode has been insightful for you. I know it has been for me. Tune in tomorrow. I think we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the child side because this is, of course, the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, have a great day.